Welcome to the Live Service Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Guns, and with me, as always, today is 7-Bit Brian. Brian, how's your week going?
My week is it's been a pretty good week, Guns. I mean, we've got a name. We're not just like the Who Are We podcast, like
I
some.
kind of like being the Who Are We podcast, though. It's
I
fun.
know, but this name is like you picked out like such a good name that I cannot believe is not already taken. So just like like we have to highlight like how awesome that is. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I
nobody
just have
has
to.
this name, which is unbelievable for me.
Seriously, like I when you said it, I was like, "There's no way that's not already taken." First thing I did was Google it. I was like, "Come on, Guns, that's already taken." But I didn't actually write that to you because I was like, I don't want to look dumb. And then I was like, wait, this is not taken. What?
It's yeah, it's been a super weird week. Like, there's a $730 Tifa statue with its ass up in the air. Bungie and Double Fine have to come out and support. In a world where video game companies have to support abortion as a human right, as a woman, like, man, shit's just weird lately. I mean, they should. It is. I don't want to get into politics because fuck that shit, but that's just all that shit's so fucking weird. And it's been a weird week. Like, I think the easiest thing we could start with was Square Enix selling Eidos Montreal and a couple of others off to Embracer Group.
Yeah, I remember when we ended last week, we were like, let's make sure we pick positive things to talk about too, so we don't constantly complain because we don't want to just constantly complain. And I was like, yeah, I'll pick some positive things. And then I was thinking what to discuss today, and I was like, well, this is more of like a confused topic rather than a positive topic.
You know what? I actually think it is a positive thing though, because Embracer Group has got the funds to support somebody like Eidos Montreal.
Yeah,
and they gave them.
There is some positive things to come out of this.
Yeah,
like I just recently, like I know people make fun of it, but I actually still like and have hopes for the Avengers game. I think it's got potential. Like the base of the game is actually really good. It's one of a kind. There's literally nothing like it on the market. So if they could get some proper funding, and put in some proper work, that there could be a great game there. The base of it is very fun, and I just recently, literally this it might have been this month, it might have been May, but I just recently beat the Guardians of the Galaxy game, and I'm like, this is amazing. We need a sequel. And that was not going to happen under Square Enix. Let's just be honest here. That was like everything that was a Western developer for them was like, oh, this is disappointing. And I'm like, what?
So let me look up their statement, because their statement had me fucking rolling.
Yeah,
but
the one you sent
in
me,
general, yeah. The Embracer Group announced that they bought and acquired Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal, which I'm assuming they're going to be named something else. Square Enix Montreal will be named something else. Embracer Group is fucking huge. Yeah, they are. Amplify Game Invest, Asmode, Coffee Stain, which if you don't know, Coffee Stain makes Satisfactory, which I love. Dark Horse, DECA Games, Easy Brain, Gearbox Entertainment, Koch Media, Saber Interactive, and THQ Nordic. Is all the stuff that they had beforehand. Thank you, Crash. Appreciate that. And then now they also have Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and a whole bunch of others. And I mean, they sold them for $300 million. And you know what Square Enix said? The sale of these studios will help create NFT products for our future products.
Yeah,
I was just like,
investments
what?
Including blockchain, AI, the cloud, and NFTs, and I was just like,
it was just so fucking like what?
Oh, did you see the even more hilarious part? Like 2 days after this happened, everyone was talking about how the NFT market crashed because the prices on like everything just went down.
You know, I'm so happy. Like, I think everybody in gaming is like fuck NFTs because what do they provide to the player? Like, I can't. I've not found an instance where they provide anything of substance that matters to the player in gaming for the expanded cost of them. Um, One of my friends, Kittens, who's a very technically literate person, more so than I, he mentioned that NFTs has a use in security because it creates a unique section of code that is tied to the blockchain. So you could use it for verification purposes. But they're not doing that. They're attaching art to it and selling art. And they can't even keep fucking track of what's the original one. They haven't developed a system for that at all. You would think, as smart as these fucking people are developing and scamming people around NFTs, you'd think they would find a way to protect their scam. But they like
Yeah, the technology like behind it definitely has some uses, and it'll be put to some different things. But this particular use case, I've never quite understood, especially how they try to explain it. Like, no, you don't understand. You own it. Like, it doesn't matter if the game shuts down. You can put it in another. No, that's not how video games work. And there's no dev that's gonna be like, oh, you bought the Master Chief on Halo. Sure, we Ubisoft are gonna put in the dev time to add that to our game. Yes, totally, we're gonna do that.
yeah, right.
What?
I I look forward to the first actual game that has like NFTs embroiled in it just to see how it does and like what it does for players and how people hold on to it. Um because I don't think it'll hold well.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and it's. I mean, the best you can do is like make it part of like a certain market and then exchangeable in that. But that's no different than like like selling skins for like CS:GO or something like that. Like it's not really different than what we've had before. And it
yeah,
just
but
has
you
all these
see,
negative connotations attached to it. So
even
it's not.
skins in like even skins in CS:GO or PUBG, I like cared about for a bit because they made me look cool for having them. And it's like I looked cool to everybody else. If I own an NFT in a video game, everyone else is just like fucking idiot. I don't get any of the cool factor. It's like a cool skin is like putting on aviators. It's impossible to look like an idiot with them. Okay, I won't say that because now the internet's going to prove me wrong. But it's really hard to look stupid with a pair of aviators on. You normally look cool. And skins kind of are that effect. It's like, well, you look cool. Does it do anything else? No, but you look cool. And I think everybody's always understood that about like skins. They make you look cool. That's it, right? And it's like NFTs were like the next evolution, but they don't even make you look cool. They just make you look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, because and like I said, nothing they're doing is new. What they're talking about, like creating a market where like you can exchange it and sell it to someone else and do and move it between games and something technically possible if something like Ubisoft did it. Like in all of our games, we're gonna put in the dev time to make this skin possible, and then you could sell it to someone else. But that's again been done before, and there isn't all this negative connotation attached to it. That like this nothing of value is being gained by the way
Yeah,
they're going about
nothing of
this.
value. Nothing for the player. But if Square Enix wants to sell off all those studios and take their what 300 or 800 million dollars or however much it was, which was a fucking lot, and continue to go ruin their games, that's fine with me. That just means that Adios Montreal might get unleashed to make a fucking Deus Ex that they actually want. Because Deus Ex is a popular franchise, and if you gave the studio the time and love that they wanted to make a good one, it would do, especially if it reviewed well, it would do gang. Even the previous Deus Exes, which didn't review all that well, sold really well because people want a new one. They were like,
Yeah,
"Yes, give it to me,"
Yeah, there's actually a rumor that, since the sale is happening, that they're going to be working on a new Deus Ex now. It's not confirmed. I know a lot of people like put it out like, "Oh, look, they're already working on this." Now, that was a rumor. It's not been 100% confirmed. But yeah, like the head of the studio has talked about like ideas of what to do next, but he didn't. He's like, here's things that I'd like to do, but at the moment, I don't know what we're going to do because like
Yeah,
Square Enix just like wouldn't just let them
yeah, yeah.
just go and do something. I'm
Well,
like,
and even they've been forcing the other studio, I forget which one, to pump out Tomb Raiders like they're babies because
Crystal
fucking
Dynamics.
we need
Yeah,
another Tomb Raider. Why? Because it sold. Yeah, we need another Tomb Raider. It's like,
yeah,
nah. How
they
about
would do that,
you?
and then they said it. They said the last Tomb Raider, even though it sold very well, had disappointing sales. And then
That's the other thing,
here's the really
man.
no here's the really funny part, Guns. I'll have to find the link so I can send it to you real quick. So because of this sale, documents have become popular, right? And so you look at like Square Enix is notorious for saying that the Avengers games failed to live up to targets and Crystal Dynamics was a bad developer to put on it, right? And then you have games like that they've released under Square Enix called, there was the recent one, Babylon's Fall, which was like the biggest flop in the world. And they're talking
Mhm.
about like how much how they're putting money into it to give it this chance and do this and that. And then get this, the because of the sale, they have to publicly release documents. So Embracer did, according to the PDFs Embracer put out, the Avengers game has been profitable since the beginning. It just Square Enix didn't think it was profitable enough, and it wasn't a Japanese product, so they talk shit about it.
This is what I don't understand. Japanese companies are so fucking weird when they make video games. They are so behind the times because even I mean, like EA was disappointed by the sales of Battlefield 2042, but they stuck with it because it was still profitable. So it didn't meet sales expectations, but it was still largely successful. And they're sticking with it because it was largely successful and it made them money. And they know because they've done it in the past. Even though there's a lot I dislike about EA as a company, they are sometimes intelligent developers and publishers, but they know because they've done it in the past, if they stick with it and fix the issues and start a season one and give players the majority of the things that they're asking for that they can do, they'll recoup a large player base. Look what happened to Battlefield 4 whenever like they know it's like, oh well, we just gave that to DICE LA or whatever the studio was, and a year later, people are saying this is the best Battlefield's ever been, and people are playing it, and people still play it to this day over Battlefield 2042. In fact, so um,
I mean, look what happened to Destiny, Warframe, No Man's Sky. These games aren't
mm-hmm,
overnight successes. Games like that
mm-hmm.
have to be built up, and it seems like Square Enix wanted that live service lightning in a bottle, but they didn't want to put in the work for it. They were like,
Well,
if it's not that right out of the gate, which no game ever is, then they just cut all funding. And I'm like, what?
you would you would think they would understand with Final Fantasy 14 how fucking abysmal that
Right?
game was at launch,
Right?
and it took them years to turn it into something that was playable. And even to this day, I still like I've tried, and it's rough for me to get through, but Um, so I don't understand. Maybe they're just like extremely prejudiced against things that aren't Japanese IP, which is that's if you don't know, like it's very common to be racist in Japanese, and nobody tells you to shut up or be quiet. No one discourages that because there are not a lot of ethnic groups over in Japan, and it just blows my freaking mind that it's like y'all are oh what the fuck.
No,
Man,
I
fuck this
think
shit.
that's legitimately what part of what's going on here, because their recent new live service game, Babylon's Fall, flopped so hard with like in less than a month of it releasing, it had like 10 concurrent players. Yeah, like a peak of like 123
Mm.
concurrent
I
players.
saw an article today that it hit one
And
concurrent player.
yeah, and they're like talking it up and talking about how much they're gonna put into it to like build it up and this and that. But like previous, they didn't do that. They just talked shit about like the previous games that came out. But putting aside the like negatives of it, my biggest positive of this, because I happen to like the Avengers game. Yes, it needs a ton of work. I happen to like Tomb Raiders. There's going to be making a new one, but putting all that aside, the thing that has me the most excited about this is Embracer recognizes the value in older IPs, and they're
Yeah.
picking up Legacy of Kain.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
please,
yeah.
please. We've been
Yep.
asking for like remakes, remasters, or something for so long.
We literally
Like
have.
that Nosgoth thing, we were always like, why are you doing this with the IP? Come on. Like this is a series that's
Yeah.
known for like such a great like action adventure platforming RPG with like an amazing story, and it it's just been languishing because they would not do anything with it. They were like,
Well,
that's
it
old, no
was
one wants that.
it's the same thing, like yeah, with the Nosgoth, and it's like, why are you not doing Legacy of Kain instead? And it was because like there is, and I didn't even realize this until I was like reading some of the articles and stuff, but there's a huge gap in the market for vampire games because Blood Hunt, or Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt is a battle royale that's based on Vampire the Masquerade, and people are clamoring to that motherfucker because they let you make and customize your own vampire with some pretty okay options. It's nothing amazing and expansive, but it's okay. And people are just like all fucking over it that are into that aesthetic. And because the season pass actually gives you some very Blade 2 type of cosmetics. So people are just fucking all over that shit. And I'm like, man, where why has nobody like been trying to fill this gap in the market for like a long time? And yeah, like so much so that the interest in Vampire the Masquerade 2 was supposed to come out last year but got delayed because they weren't happy with where the studio was progressing. They are so adamant about that IP coming out. They've taken it from that developer and are giving it to another developer and telling them what to do specifically, because it's like, no, look, this can be really good if you just do what we say. Which I think is the first fucking time ever that I've seen a publisher take something away from a developer because they're like, yo, y'all are doing a shit job. Normally they just kind of let developers do what they do and then let it sell, and if it doesn't do good, it's like, so that was weird
That
when that happened.
that recently happened again. Did you hear about it? Ubisoft
Oh no.
with Prince of Persia.
What?
Prince
Oh
of Persia
yeah.
remake. They took
Yeah.
it from the studio and they're like, yeah, we're gonna finish it. You guys are fucking up.
Yeah. Uh I'll be honest with you. I played the first Prince of Persia, which was great, and then every other one beyond that I thought was ass. Maybe I'm in the dark, but I thought every other one, especially the one where they did like the half dark, half light, like they were trying so hard to be edgelordy, and I was like, he was already kind of cool in edgelordy. What the? I don't know. Maybe I'm in the dark.
No, I think Prince of Persia was a really great game, and then the second one was an expansion upon that. The third one was where they kind of it was good, but that's the one you're talking about, like half dark, half light thing. That was the third one. That trilogy was really
Mm-hmm.
good, but then they tried to go like remake after that and stuff, and then they just retooled it into Assassin's Creed. So yeah, and that went its own
Yeah.
direction. But yeah, again, going back to what we were talking about before, the biggest thing that has me excited about this is some of the older IPs that are like people are actually looking at them again, because like Embracer bought a 10-year-old game and gave it a
Mm-hmm.
re-release and DLCs. So these are the type of people that like recognize, Kingdoms of Amalur. They re-released it and gave it DLCs 10 years later. That's insane,
Yeah,
right?
which is so funny because Kingdoms of
Was a
Amalur was such
cult
a
hit at
weird game.
best.
It was such a weird game because there were some really good parts in Kingdoms of Amalur that you're like, wow, I can see where this is going. Why I can see what they were trying. This is awesome. And then it has some parts where it's like, yo, there's a steaming pile of dog shit over there, and I'd rather go play in that at the moment. It's just fucking weird polarization in the game. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I look forward to it.
Yeah,
I
the thing I'm excited about would be something like Thief, Deus Ex, and
yes.
then like Legacy of Kain, and actually even the new Tomb Raider, like the remake trilogy was the new trilogy. It's not a remake. The new trilogy wasn't bad. Those were all good games,
No,
just
they weren't bad at all. I
under
just
Square
felt like they
Enix. They
were.
just like they were never
Yeah.
going to compete with the likes of Uncharted or something like that because Square Enix just didn't put the proper support into it.
Well,
Eh,
even the like Square Enix is so weird because they do some really consumer friendly things, but then they do some really anti-consumer things. Like I mean, like all of Final Fantasy 14 has been much more consumer friendly in the last 3 to 4 years. But then they have weird stuff like the last Deus Ex that launched. I don't know. Remember if you remember this, but there was the debacle about how many launch versions there were. There was like 15 launch versions or something like that, and you got
Oh, I do
exclusives for
remember this
getting it.
now.
Yeah, you got exclusives for ordering at Best Buy or at Target or at Walmart and there were different there was like 5 different versions you could order and it was just there was no easy way for anybody to know like what am I actually getting if I order this game from whoever. Like it was such a pain in the ass.
Oh, I don't know if you remember this, but I was just looking at like the IPs that Eidos and Crystal Dynamics and such own. But yeah, we could be getting like a Legacy of Kain, a good Tomb Raider. Apparently, the what's it called, the deals that Marvel Games has with Square Enix can pass on to the new developer, so we might be getting some more Avengers stuff and some more Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. But they also, do you remember the old like platformer games Gex, the little gecko Gex?
Yeah, vaguely.
Apparently that's a Crystal Dynamics game. They
Huh.
have that IP. And then apparently Samurai Showdown, old school Samurai Showdown as well. That's interesting. I didn't
Hmm.
know about that.
I do remember that. I remember liking that.
There's some stuff they
So
could, they could pull out and make like a modern version, and yeah, this could be interesting.
well, there was also like the whole maybe Square Enix is in a lot more financial trouble than they make apparent because like there was that article that posted about Outriders. How it's got a new DLC coming up, a first big expansion, and the article came out that it's never made a profit and it may never make a profit because it's so far off the margin for its
Wait, are you
budget still.
serious? Can you send me that? I did not know that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That is wild because the talk has been like, Outriders, the talk around Outriders when it came out was like it was good, and and then when they
It
started
wasn't
like
bad.
when they started releasing, like the DLCs and stuff, and people are like the updates and everything, and people are like, "Oh, this is great." There's been positive talk around that. And you're
Mm-hmm.
telling me it's never been profitable. While there was all this negative talk around Avengers and the documents that were released on it says it's been
Yep.
profitable every single
Yep.
month since release.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Fucking Japan's weird, man.
That just blows my mind. Like what who is running why? Okay, I'm viewing this as a positive. Square Enix, you needed to get out of the Western market because what the fuck were you doing? And now
Yeah,
Outriders
they
is
don't.
stuck there. They're like the only Western game left. That wasn't included in the
Yeah.
deal. They're just there by themselves.
Yep.
Someone posted a meme of like the guy like John Travolta looking around for everybody. You know that meme, and it was like
Yeah.
Outriders. I'm like, where'd everybody go?
Well,
They're
and
like, I kind
I
of feel
like
bad for them.
Outriders too.
Yeah, so do
Yeah, I
I.
feel
I
bad
kind
for
of
them
feel
as
bad for
well.
them. I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen, Outriders?
Yeah, it's hard to say at this point. But a lot of new games, are still coming out. One that was delayed that I'm actually seriously sad about is The Day Before. I don't know if you've seen that on Steam. I think it looks I think it looks so good that it looks too good to be true. So I wanted to come out to see if it is actually that good or if it's one of those too good to be true games. But they're switching to Unreal Engine 5. They were supposed to come out in like June of this year, and they're switching to Unreal Engine 5, and as a result, they've been delayed a whole year.
Yeah, wasn't that game also like one of the most wishlisted games ever on Steam?
Yeah. And people are so they're like, oh, you mean the Division asset flip? And I'm like, well, first off, they're made in like 2 separate engines, so I don't know how well of an asset flip that would work. But like, secondly, there's also entirely different areas that they're in. Um, and like, it's actually a zombie apocalypse game.
Yeah, I remember watching a video, like a vertical slice of this, where they're like driving through the mud, and yeah, I
Yeah.
remember this. It looked very, very promising and interesting.
Well, here's the thing that's really got me like flustered is like their vertical slices that they do, which I'm putting some footage up now. This is the second or third vertical slice that they've done of like a 15-minute segment of gameplay. And so I'm kind of like wondering like, okay, well, normally when we see a vertical slice, it's like one area that's pretty staged, and like they just show different sections of that one area on, like, look at Cyberpunk, for instance. If you go back and look at all the demo footage that we ever saw of Cyberpunk, it was all just the first hour of the game. They took the first hour of the game and they polished that fucking turd so that it looks nothing like the rest of the game. Like the first area, that first room where you fight those people and save that girl in the bathtub, um like the walls are destructible there. You can shoot out lights, ceiling tiles fall out, the ground scruffs up, bullet penetration holes, all that. None of that happens anywhere else in the game except in that one room. And so it was really obvious that they like prettied that up. And so my thing with this that's got me feeling good about it is it's like they're a smaller team with less budget. They've made some good games beforehand. So I'm kind of wondering, like, I feel like this is outside of the means for them to make this many vertical slices and make it look this good on repeat. Um, I'm not really sure how they can do that over and over again and it still works. So I feel pretty confident and pretty okay about the game right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think probably what happened is, especially with a smaller team, things like this look great running on an internal machine, but once they like put it out in the wild with, so much variance and so much going on,
mhm.
like it's much harder to control for everything, and it probably starts to get
Yeah.
buggier and buggier, which is probably why they're doing the Unreal 5 thing, because it's so stable. Like it's so like,
Unreal
Unreal
5
5 is
is, I don't
for
think we know
developers
enough
these
about
days.
it.
That's true. We haven't seen a full release game, but from what I've heard of
But yeah.
people talking about it and everything, this is a game that, like, if they make it properly in Unreal 5, supposedly, from what we're being told and from devs working on it as well, it's not really going to matter, like, the difference in consoles or the difference in your card or anything like that. This thing's gonna run. So
Yeah.
I hope that's the fact, because yeah, a lot of games like this that were done by, I can think back to like previous games that were done by smaller studios, and the demos and slices they put out looked amazing, but once it got released to the wild, and everybody has a different system, the cracks started to show, because it's so hard to just like design with all that in mind, especially with a small studio.
Well, what I like about this so much, what I keep saying about this game and what I like about it so much is that it reminds me of a soft core version of DayZ mixed with Miscreated in third person. And I think about that and I'm like, that actually sounds fucking dope. Excuse me, because I've always liked DayZ, but the thing that I end up hating about DayZ is how involved you have to get into everything to enjoy it. You cannot casually enjoy DayZ. There's no casualness to that. It is such a hardcore game. Everything you do is, if you're there, you're stuck there for a couple of hours, doing whatever it is you're doing. but
Yeah,
this looks a lot more casual, so I think that's why I'm a bigger fan of it.
yeah. This watching like the vertical slices and everything, it always gave me a mixture of like Daisy and State of Decay. You know, like
Yeah,
you're going like scavenging for resources, doing this and that. Maybe not the community building asset, but you know, like it's the the third person view, the scavenging for resources, repairing things, all of that. You know, keeping the upkeep and such like that, and then you know the the entire like control scheme and then like how everything in your inventory has like size and you have to sort it and everything is like very DayZ to me. It's yeah, it's a very interesting mixture.
you know,
Like I
I honestly hope more than anything, like I hope that this delay gives them time because it's going to be separate. Like the asset team is going to be working on porting everything over. Most of the coding's just probably going to work unless there's some major changes to the systems. There may be some stuff that they have to redo, which is part of the reason for the long delay. But um, hopefully, it gives them time to put in more stuff. I really hope. I hope we don't see any building in this game. We haven't in any of the trailers. I don't want to see building. I'm so sick of building in survival games. I like this so I'm actually more of a fan of State of Decay right now because the lack of building in that game, where it's just like, oh, you pick this thing and you upgrade it, and that's really kind of all there is. There's not like a build bit by bit, like, you know.
yeah, State of Decay was really focused more on like the community aspect rather than the build. Now I agree.
Um
That's like, you know, recently Fortnite did like a no build mode and like I have never been interested
yeah,
in Fortnite, but I've watched some people play the no build and I'm like, I might be interested in Fortnite. I don't know. Like
I'm so sick of building in survival games because then Ark, um eh, any other survival game with building, I can't
Rust.
think of, in Rust. The game becomes about building instead of being out in the environment and stuff like that. And the thing is, like, I really actually enjoy the part of Rust where you're out in the environment searching for resources and stuff like that. I wish it had better shooting mechanics because the shooting mechanics are kind of ass. But I really enjoy the bit where you get supplies, you scavenge, you go searching, you look for key cards to access places, to get more stuff, to you know, have more supplies, and to build better shit. I've always liked that. I just hate the building aspect of it, of constantly having to, like, because the game becomes about standing there for 20 hours and building your base so nobody can get in it.
Yeah, I mean, this even goes into games like let's go back a while, you know, and go to a different genre. Fallout 4. Fallout 4, I like the settlement system except for me having to build things myself, like having to set up
Yeah,
and build. That I was just like, nah, just let me like gather resources and scavenge and give it to them and let them do it. I don't want to do all this.
yeah. Yeah, no, so I hope there's no building in this game. I hope it focuses on looting and resources and crafting internally. Man, that guy wasted so much fucking ammo. um I hope it focuses on crafting internally in, you know, or at a workbench. If you do have a camp, I want it to be prefabbed or just like turn things on. Like, I don't want it to, God, he's a fucking horrible shot. Um Sorry, anyway. Yeah.
Just laughing.
That's the day before. I'm excited for it. You might have to upgrade your PC for it. When was the last time you upgraded your PC, Brian?
Oh, it's yeah. I'm planning on trying to do it this summer. I'm trying to save up some money and do it. My PC is.
Well, boy, you're gonna need a fat fucking
I know.
PSU
I know that's. I'm gonna
because
need a.
Nvidia just gave us the power specs. Not just, it was a couple days ago. For the 3090 Ti. And the next generation cards after the 3000 series are going to be more power hungry than this, which I'm just like, do we actually have PSUs that can support that and the rest of the system? And I don't actually know that we do.
Guns. Guns. Do you actually think that we're gonna be able to afford these things? Graphics cards are worth as much as cars now. It's getting insane.
Yeah, this is true. This is very the
It's getting really
3070.
insane.
The 3070 in my PC over here. I don't have a 3070 because it's what I could afford. I have a 3070 because it's what I could get a hold of. If I could have got a 3080, I would have got one. It was impossible. Literally impossible.
And they've done nothing to
So,
like go up since you got yours. Like it's ridiculous.
yeah. So yeah, it's anyway, the 3090 Ti runs at 890 watts at full chat.
That's
890 watts.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of like stumbling on my words. I can remember building gaming PCs where the power supply was like 800 watts, period, and it ran everything. Like, you didn't need like, holy crap!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then let me see if I can find the theoreticals for the okay, so it's not as bad. I wonder if it's just because it's pumping all that power. It might be. The 4090 is recommended to be running at 850 plus wattage. The 4080 Ti is going to be running at 650 watts. It's using some kind of power railing for GDDR7, which is the reason for this big spike. So yeah, I don't know. I am actually incredibly, like, here's the thing. I don't think we're going to, not only do I think we're not going to be able to afford it because of scalpers, unless you get your hands on it at MSRP somehow by scouring the internet like a fucking hawk on release. But like, these cards are targeting at running 8K at playable frame rates at like 60 FPS plus. And I'm like, I don't even use 4K yet. What? And so I'm also just kind of wondering, like, what are the cards gonna be like after next year? What's the 5000 series gonna be like? You know, every time I get a new toy or a new card or whatever, it just seems like they come out with some kind of new nuclear armament that blows it out of the fucking water. And yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, it's not weird. It's a good thing, I think. Being able to run 8K at 60 FPS is kind of fucking nutty.
I feel like maybe they're going too fast. Like I get that, 4K is awesome and a lot of people talk about it, but the vast majority of gamers still don't have 4K.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like, go see if you can find anything. See if you can find any 8K monitor at 60 or 120 FPS. First off, it'll be a challenge for you to find a 60 FPS 8K monitor. I don't know that they exist. Because I don't look for 8K products. But the thing is that people will still buy them anyway. Will still buy those cards anyway. Because they can. Because they can afford it. Like, there's literally a whole subset of people that buy something just because they have ability to. Oh,
And just because they want to have the latest thing, yeah.
so here's technically an 8K monitor. It's not 8K in the traditional sense. No, that's not 8K. One of the resolution numbers goes up to 8K. I found this on Best Buy. And that's $2,300. So, you know.
Yeah, that's. I don't think. Yeah, I'm
It's
gonna
not
get
even
something. No,
technically true 8K.
no, I'm gonna rebuild a BC, and I'm not going that. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, honestly, if I was you, I would target 1440p because that's what I did, and the resolution bump is nice. It makes the eyes feel good, and I can still run most things at 120 FPS plus because everything they went from 1080 to 4K. Nobody stopped at 1440p. I don't know why, but it's nice. It's a good. It's it's nice. So,
So,
oh, go ahead. Do
well,
you
we
have
both said
something?
so. No,
No,
I
no,
had
no.
something that I haven't had a chance to talk with you about, and
Uh-oh.
not a lot of big news has come out on it recently. Like we did get
Are
an
we getting a
update on it
divorce?
this week. No, it's just we haven't had a chance to talk about this stuff in a while, and it's like not huge news came out this week, but some new news came out this week, and it reminded me that like this is the first time in like 7 years that they're putting out a proper game, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it together.
Oh.
Um, Bethesda Starfield. This is the first real Bethesda game because I don't think Fallout 76 counts as a real game. To come out
Yeah.
in like 7 years, and we
Well,
haven't had a
to be
chance to talk
frank,
about like your feelings on it yet.
they didn't work on Fallout 76. It was all their subsidiary. I know they like to say in press PR and all this, we worked with everybody was working on Fallout 76. It was like, that's a lie. You were advising on what to do in 76 while you were working on whatever the next Elder Scrolls is and whatever the next major IP for Bethesda is, which happened to be Starfield. All those other studios are the ones that took over Fallout on your because I think people need to realize that Fallout 76 is the last time Fallout is ever going to look anything like that. Fallout 5 or whatever we get next afterwards is going to be so fucking different looking because
It's
of
gonna be
Bethesda's engine.
and it's gonna be built off the
It's
backs of all these changes they're making for Starfield as well,
yeah,
because it's much
it's
easier to
going to be
transfer that Starfield, sci-fi to Fallout than it is to like Elder Scrolls.
well, and it may not even be Bethesda making it because Xbox owns Bethesda, and Xbox also owns a whole bunch of other fucking studios. Like
Yeah, there
Obsidian,
were
fingers
rumors.
crossed.
Yeah, there were rumors a while back about Bethesda and Xbox maybe because Xbox is still trying to be hands off with their studios, but there was rumors about them maybe coming to an agreement to let like Obsidian or someone do like a New Vegas remake or a New Vegas 2.
I would love to see a New Vegas 2 only if Obsidian did it, but I don't think Obsidian's going to do it because they're busy with their own IPs right now. And I know that they'd probably rather be busy with what they own than somebody else's bullshit.
But yeah, so if you don't count Fallout 76, which you don't, because
I don't.
other companies did, sure they publish games from like Arcane and id and stuff like that, but yeah, otherwise we haven't had a actual proper Bethesda game since Fallout 4 7 years ago, and we're gonna
Mhm.
get one later this year.
This year. Yeah.
So
I'm
so
to
have
be
you been
honest with
following
you.
it, and what are your thoughts on it?
So I haven't been I'm waiting for the big gameplay reveal. They haven't done one of those yet.
They do have a big show coming up, like what, a few days from now, the big
Yeah,
Xbox
it's like the
Bethesda reveal.
Xbox show. It's like May 8th or something like that. It's all over
It's
the
like
news and
tomorrow.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be looking forward to that and probably watching that. Well, there's also rumors that there's gonna be a new a Doom 3 showed there as well, and that is gonna be Xbox exclusive, which I
Yeah,
think is
I've
a
heard
kick in the dick to Sony.
I've heard a lot of weird rumors about like they're gonna it's called the Xbox Bethesda showcase, but I heard like
Yeah,
they're gonna be bringing in like some Ubisoft stuff as well, and then yeah, id and Doom, and yeah, I don't know.
I'm
There's so many rumors flying
super
about this thing.
interested.
Yeah, there's so many rumors flying about this. I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen?
So yeah, they haven't made anything for 7 years. That means they've spent 7 years working on Starfield, and they say the trailer is in it. That one trailer that we have, they say that's in engine. in-engine and actual gameplay aren't generally too far apart. They can be a little far apart sometimes, but it's pretty close to what you're going to get. Maybe some less high detailed textures, or you lose some detail fidelity there. For the most part, that's probably what it's going to look like in general, though, unless you just crank all the graphics settings all the way down to nothing, right? So I'm looking at that and I'm like, damn, that does not look anything like the Creation Engine. Which has me excited because obviously they've taken the time to make changes to that engine to allow for them to more easily develop. If they spent 2 years developing the engine and then the last 5 working on Starfield could be a banger of a game. And Bethesda's really, really good about not scrapping what they have, which we'll talk about with Halo here in a second. Bethesda's really good about taking what they have and turning it into something usable. So is Blizzard. Even though Blizzard's made a lot of decisions I really don't like in the last years, they spent how many years making Overwatch to be the next big MMO, and it failed, but instead of scrapping the whole thing, they took what they had and they changed the direction of things and turned it into the first-person shooter that we have, hero shooter that we have today. So they're really good about taking pretty much anything they do and utilizing it in the game. So I think it could be really good because they say it's a very different kind of game for them. And I'm wondering, like, hopefully we get to see this during gameplay. What do they mean by that? Because what they've been showing, or what Todd specifically, which Todd maybe talks things up a little bit too much, he says it's the first time they've actually had the technology to do what they want to do. And I kind of wonder if I kind of wonder if Bethesda asked these other studios to go do Fallout 76 because their networking software was a prototype to see how well they could integrate it into their kind of games. I kind of feel like they don't, like, for them, and I partially agree if this is the case. For them, I feel like the next obvious step to these massive single-player games that they have is to, one, make them even larger. And if you make them even larger than that, Jesus fucking Christ, it took me 360 hours to play through all of Skyrim, do every achievement, do every quest, explore every location, and I did it. So 360 hours to do that, and I did that back in 2011. And the reason why I know that is because I did that back in 2011 on an Xbox 360. And that's vanilla Skyrim. That doesn't include all the fucking, DLC quests and shit like that, right?
Yeah. Well, he actually came out, like, some people asked a question about that because they were talking about, how the game's gonna be so huge and everything, and they were like, is this like an open universe game instead of open world? And Todd tried to, like, tamp down on it. He's like, no, I don't want to set crazy expectations. We're building things similar to how we used to build them in size and everything, and there's lots of locations that we're building, but don't expect like an endless universe. Like,
So
it's
yeah,
probably going
I
to be
think
bigger, but not like people are expecting. Like, people are
I
going a little
think
bit crazy.
I think like they're gonna build worlds where like I think they're gonna have planets, and every planet is gonna be like the size of Skyrim, which in retrospect is huge, but it's not really that big, especially nowadays with generation tools that they have. So I think they're gonna like build like 3 or 4 planets, and they're gonna be pretty good size. But I think their next big step is how they integrate multiplayer into their games. I think they want to make it seamless. I think which is why I think there's so much like the delineation bullshit in 76. Like, why is it so hard to figure out where your party is and join on them and see this stuff? Well, because they were trying to make it unseen. They didn't really want you to see all the behind the scenes stuff. They didn't want you to make it a server. And I gotta tell you, when that stuff works, it's so unnoticed but so helpful, because one studio that did it was The Division. One studio, whoever made I forget who made The Division. But in The Division, they would flawlessly matchmake you when you went up to the Dark Zone. So it just seemed like the Dark Zone was alive all the time, because you'd walk up around it and you'd hear gunshots and explosions and all kinds of shit. And so, like, you'd be walking around, and as you got closer, it auto match made you to a lobby in the dark zone and put you on the outside of it. And it was completely seamless. You never noticed a thing. I always love that so much because it just made the world feel like, despite the fact that it's an apocalypse and there's this virus and millions of people, it just made it feel naturally alive so far that it was seamless and it went so unnoticed. I feel like that's the kind of thing they're trying to do with their multiplayer in Starfield. They don't want you to even recognize the fact that it's a multiplayer game. They want to keep that Bethesda holiness of great single player expansive games and then weave multiplayer into it so seamlessly. When you realize that, you're like, this game's multiplayer? Stuff like that. I think that's what they're shooting for.
I think if they do that, it's going to be more co-op because they've talked about how much more into the old school RPG they want to lean, like some of the stuff they haven't done in a while. Have you been watching some of the dev diaries that they've put out and stuff?
No, I haven't been
Like
watching any of that for the
yeah,
purpose that I'm going to watch this reveal, and then besides that, I'm going to go in blind as long as I'm impressed with the reveal.
it's just I'm excited if for no other reason because I've watched the dev diaries and them doing dev diaries like this because let's be honest, Bethesda is not known for being very talkative before their game comes out. Like think back, we didn't know almost anything about Fallout 4 until like they announced it and then it released a few months later. Same with Skyrim's. You know, they're not like a lot of developers where they keep us updated and we know what's going on, but they're actually doing some dev diaries on this, and the way they're talking, just the fact that they're doing the dev diaries and the way they're talking, like how they're saying things and what they're talking about, reminds me a lot of Oblivion and the jump from Morrowind to Oblivion. Like the things he's
Which was
saying and how he,
huge!
yes, the jump from Morrowind to Oblivion was huge. I mean, Oblivion, you go back now, yes, it has its problem, but in its time, Oblivion was freaking
Oh my
groundbreaking. That game
god.
was,
I
and
loved Oblivion, dude.
the way they're talking about it beforehand and just what he's saying, it reminds me of like the lead up to Oblivion, and I'm like, holy crap, this could be a this could be it. This could be like the next big Bethesda thing. Like everything could be building off of this. Starfield
Now,
is it.
Brian, don't get your hopes up.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting my hopes up.
We've been there before,
Yeah,
motherfucker. We all
yes.
played No Man's Sky.
Hey, No Man's Sky's good these days.
Yeah,
Has
like
been for
4
a while.
years later.
Hey, yeah. But I'm excited because just the way they're talking and what they're doing, like it sounds like it sounds like it's gonna be another
Yeah.
one of those size jumps. Because like, let's be honest, Skyrim to Fallout 4 wasn't a big jump. There was, it was basically a Fallout skin Skyrim, which
Yeah.
wasn't bad, but
No.
it was just,
No.
even Morrowind to Skyrim wasn't as big as, I mean, not Morrowind, Oblivion to Skyrim wasn't as big as jump as from like Morrowind to Oblivion.
Mm,
That was,
yeah, I will
multi-generational
agree with
leaping.
you, but Oblivion to Skyrim was still definitely pretty big.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that that one was bigger. So I think not only is this going to be big for them, but it's also all of this is going to be carried forward into the next Elder Scrolls and whatever we have beyond it. Fallout 5 and such. So it's going to affect those as well. I think, yeah.
Which, let me tell you, boy, does this make me excited for the next Elder Scrolls. I think it's going to be a minimum of 3 years after the release of Starfield before we get it.
I
But
agree because they have a team working on it, but the majority of the team is working on this right now. So
yeah, they
And
probably have a small team
I actually think that's
doing
why
like,
you might be right about Fallout because they're so reticent about letting other people, touch Fallout and Elder Scrolls because they're
yes,
their babies. But if they do this right, if they're putting all this work into Starfield and it comes out and it's great, and then they give it a smaller team to update and everything like that, and move the majority to Elder Scrolls, we're at best looking at like 3 or 4 years before Elder Scrolls, and then what 3 or 4 years beyond that for the next Fallout. So we're not getting a Fallout until 2030 something. I don't think they
yeah,
actually want to wait that long, so they might have to give it to like a
yeah.
support studio.
I think they had the opportunity to shove off some test work that they wanted to do for concept designs and soft blah 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 onto other developers, and id Software was not id. ZeniMax was more than happy to let them do it because Bethesda's their little shining golden baby that makes them billions of dollars. I always felt like ZeniMax just treats like all the other developers they own like redheaded stepchilds, and then Todd and Bethesda. Oh, Daddy ZeniMax, they won't make our product. Oh, it's all right, little Todd. We'll fuck him up. Hey, bitch. um, he's just an old man in a leather jumper that gets what he wants. My mental image of Todd. The Xbox Bethesda Showcase isn't until June 12th. I looked it up.
Wait, what is it really June 12th?
It's June 12th. I thought it was earlier in May as well, but I looked it up to see because I thought it was like May 8th or something like that. No, it's June 12th.
Oh, Sunday, June 12th. Yeah, you're right.
Which is that actually lines up almost pretty much exactly when they would normally do their E3 stuff. So that actually makes more sense. Like what was wow, this is how much how much E3's keeping up with their bullshit. The Xbox at E3 page is still alive.
Yeah, I'm looking up here. It is June 12th, and apparently it's going to be 90 minutes long.
That's not that long considering. But I think they may focus on a few things. Yeah. So 2021, it was June. So last year they held it June 13th. So we're literally a day off from when they did it last time. And then yeah, same time it was early June previously, yada yada yada. So
Oh, this article just mentioned something I wasn't even thinking about. I'm thinking about like all the cool stuff that's going to be at the showcase, and they list one I completely forgot about: Hellblade 2.
yep, I think that'll be really nice and interesting. Is it they haven't announced a release date for it, have they? Or have they said tentatively 2022 or something?
No, that's just this article I'm reading is like that's likely to be included in the showcase
Probably. I
because
think that's going to
it's
be
one
a
of the things that's further
spring.
along.
I think they're going to do a spring 2023 release for Hellblade. I think they're going to give I think they're purposely going to give Starfield all the breathing room they can for the purpose that they don't want to undercut their own titles because they know everyone's going to buy Starfield as opposed to anything else. And I think everybody else would be incredibly smart to get out of its way because we've seen it time and time again where games try to like go up against each other or slide under each other's radar and they just end up damaging each other. Well, but some of them are so fucking stupid. DICE tried to use the excuse that Battlefield 2042 didn't meet sales expectations because Halo Infinite multiplayer released for free on the same week, and I was like, that's not why it did bad, but all right, yeah.
Oh, it's like Call of Duty didn't do good because people don't like World War II. Did you hear that, Woody?
Yeah, I'm so sick of World War II, dude. I'm sick of World War II shooters. We have 1,000,001 of them. Go do something else, please. Fucking go do anything else. I swear to God. It's so. This next Call of Duty is going to be Modern Warfare 2. And as much as I hate supporting Activision, when a Call of Duty interests me, I'll go get it. And I think the reason why it's so much more tolerable for me is because I wait like 2 or 3 years in between Call of Duties to buy them. I don't buy one right after the other. I'm like, I haven't played a Call of Duty in 3 years. I could go for a lunch,
I actually think that once the deal goes through, there's been some pushback on it recently, but it's around the cloud stuff. It's not around
Yeah,
anything else, and that might be what gives them a little bit of trouble. But I still think it's likely to go through off of
yeah.
everything I've read, and like Hogue
Mhm.
agrees. But there might be some stuff they got to give up around cloud. But I think once it goes through, I don't think we're going to see a yearly Call of Duty anymore. I think
I
Microsoft's going to
really
push it to
hope
like
not.
bi yearly or something.
I think bi-yearly would be the best case scenario because you would give developers 4 to 6 years in between releases to develop a Call of Duty. And like, can
And then
you
if you have it
fucking
on Game Pass, that's
imagine?
also, if you have that game on Game Pass, that's time to update the game and keep people coming back and do this live service thing that they've been trying to
Yeah.
do with the Call of Duties. Give it proper time.
Yeah.
Not, well, the new one's out. Fuck the old one, even though it was trying to be. Like, yeah, I think that they're gonna switch. I think it's likely.
Could you imagine though, like a modern Call of Duty with 6 years of development behind it? Because like they're given 3 to 4 years of development maximum, and they still manage to make gradual improvements to these games, and they're a little unique and different and cool and all this fun stuff. You fucking imagine 6 years of development on these motherfuckers? What they would
It's
look like?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, that's the same thing that happened with Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed. I know people complain about the modern ones because they don't like the RPG elements, but like compare it to the ones that were coming out every year, to how much bigger and like just more fun to play, like Origins and everything
Mm-hmm.
were when they
Mm-hmm.
came out. Like that was a huge difference. The fact that they stopped releasing them every year and gave them multiple years to work on these
I
things.
thought Odyssey was stonking good, and
Yeah, they
I've
spent
been
like
really
5 years on
tempted.
Odyssey.
I've been super tempted. The Viking, I didn't like the Viking one. I thought it was terrible. Um,
The funny thing
I thought
is that's the team that everybody claims is the best one, and they claim the Odyssey team is the
I
bad one.
thought it was fucking awful. The Viking one.
I
Here's the
think
problem with the Viking one.
it launched with some issues. I think these days it's really good. They've put a lot of work into it. I actually
It
like
wasn't
it.
even the bugs and the issues that put me off on it. What put me off on it was the simple fact that there's way too much to fucking do in that game. There's so much to do in that game that a lot of it's just reticent bullshit that drowns out the actual fun and interesting activities to do. Like the thing I enjoyed about Odyssey is when I went and did other things, they were enjoyable activities with enjoyable story beats and enjoyable quests for me to do.
Yeah,
It
like the
felt like
island missions
any
and stuff all have their own
yes.
storylines, and yeah, that was. Yeah, I think I totally get that, and I wish they would have like put a little bit more effort into like the side stories and in the new one as well. I will say with some of the new updates they've made to give you like new abilities, new options, and things like that, it makes the standard gameplay a little bit more fun. So it makes doing all of that same stuff over and over a little bit more enjoyable, just because the base gameplay is more enjoyable than it was at launch
Yeah.
now, because they've just added more to do. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, and I can't agree with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I enjoy it. Like, listen, I don't. What kills me is I don't understand why these publishers are fucking morons. They look at a game like GTA 5 and they're like, it released and it's got this multiplayer and they make $300 million a year off of it. You need to make us a game like that. Do it in 3 years. And it's like, yo, it took them 7 years to make GTA 5. Like, that's my reaction every time. It's like, y'all are morons.
Well,
It, it,
it's wallets, man. Like everybody was complaining about Call of Duties every year and Assassin's Creed every year, but they were buying them every year, and it wasn't until sales dipped with Assassin's Creed and now recently with Call of Duty that people are talking about. Oh, well, maybe we don't need to do yearly, because they were just chasing that buck, man.
yeah. Yep. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm going back to what we were talking about. I am excited about Starfield, and I wanted to get what your thoughts on it were. But we both said, like we were gonna bring up a topic at the same time, and I brought up Starfield. So what were you gonna talk about before I brought up Starfield?
Oh, I was gonna ask you if you played Eve lately.
Oh, yeah, the recent update.
Well, yeah, because if you wanted to, you could exposit all your information that you've got in that game onto an Excel spreadsheet.
That's people make fun of that, but that's like think about like if you could do that in like Factorio or games like that. This is actually something I wish more developers would think about and do, because this is just
Uh,
like
oh.
if like think about like Destiny stuff. If I could like use the API to export stuff and like there are uses that could come from this that could create lots of like cool third party tools and trackings and just information for the players. So the fact that Eve's doing this, yes, it's a meme because it's called Spreadsheet Simulator in Space, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
right.
like it's really cool and it's like it's kind of highlighting the fact that like this would actually be very useful for a large subset of players and a lot of different games. Like other other developers should look at doing this.
I, sure, it's cool and everything like that. I see the utilization in it. All I have to say is that if your game actively benefits from having everything expelled into an Excel sheet, and it's a massive improvement for players to decipher information and data analytics from the game, maybe your game's a little too dry for me.
Look,
Just maybe.
Two draft picks, that's
just
fine. But here's what
just
I will point out. As an Eve player, I haven't played for like a year and a half. I stopped playing. I might actually get back into it, but I played Eve. I played
them
Eve. I played Eve for
spreadsheets
years.
looking good though.
No, listen, I played Eve for years. I quit, and then I got back into it and played it for years again, and then I've quit again. But there are parts of Eve. Like you can play Eve as a player, as someone who plays every day and gets into like some crazy shit and never see a spreadsheet. It's just that Eve is such a diverse game. It is not just a space fighting each other
Yeah,
game.
sure.
It also like it is like the most realistic like market and stock market simulator in existence. Like literally like when they're teaching market and stocks and stuff in school, they'll use Eve as an example because
Yeah,
it is the most realistic to what the real world is. Like no
yeah.
game has ever gotten that. And then manufacturing and stuff like that in that game is actually gets on a level where literally like you can have like the same type of boardroom meetings in a Discord call about Eve as you would have about actual manufacturing plants
Oh
in the
man,
real
I don't
world. It's fucking
listen,
like they
bro.
go deep, deep,
I
and
don't
I'm
need
like,
that.
that's the great thing. You don't have to do that. Either don't play the game or play the
Who?
parts of the game that don't have anything to do that.
I'm
But
good,
that's
bro.
there for the people that enjoy that, and I think that's pretty cool. That they've created the simulation that's so diverse in all the different styles. That's like there's not really a lot that does that, like
No,
there's
there's not, and
singular
I'm
things like
sure.
Factorio and stuff like that, but to put it all together and to go that deep
See,
and that
here's the thing,
detailed,
though.
yeah.
This is the thing: is like with Satisfactory and Factorio, I get to a certain point that I'm like, I would no longer enjoy it if I continued to use this much of my brain power to be engaged in it, and I can just like ignore that system and turn it off and go just walk away. I feel like some of those things you may not be able to do in Eve, but I don't really play it, so I don't know. I will say though, what they are still trying to do, and I am actually interested in, is that they are trying to still make Eve Online FPS happen. So the Dust 514, if you remember,
I
um,
do.
was supposed to be I mean it was obviously an utter failure, which sucked. Um but yeah, Crash just actually sent me this. 11:22 through 17.
Wait, what'd you get
Okay,
sent?
I'll read this in a second. Why was it?
Dust, while you're reading, I'll go ahead and say, yeah, Dust was not successful. They had some very interesting concepts, and it had some really cool cases of like two different games interacting with each other live, like in real time, that had never been done before. But the base game itself, it was basically like a what's that game? What's the shooter game? Planet Side.
Which
Yeah, it was basically
oh
like a planet side with some Eve skin and integration. It wasn't. It had really cool concepts and unique concepts, but the base game itself just it wasn't
oh
enough.
so this date's been harkening. Are they saying like it's been in development for that long for the last 5 years? Is that what they're getting at? Like that's how long they've been developing it? I would assume. So the date is 11/22/2017, and that date is for new content coming up. but why would that date be 5 years old? So that's
Yeah,
interesting.
what's up with that?
Something they've been working on. But yeah, no, I would love a online. Or have they been sitting on it? Yeah, they could be sitting on it. I'd love an online first-person shooter, multiplayer FPS, huge scale, because I like the idea of PlanetSide, and I get into it and I play PlanetSide, and I enjoy PlanetSide for an extended period of time, and then I just kind of hit a point where like the systems are outdated for me in PlanetSide, so much so that I don't really find myself enjoying it as much as I would like to. There's still parts about PlanetSide that I love, like massive zergs and pushes and all that. Man, when that shit happens, it's so cool to be a part of it and just in the mix on that. There's some parts I don't really like where things stall out like on the side of a mountain and it's just people endlessly shooting each other and but PlanetSide has some seriously cool stuff that happens in it. So I would love a modern. I've been dying for them to make PlanetSide 3, so it has modern shooter mechanics on rails, modern. It just feels more modern, more weight, heft to it. Because PlanetSide 2 feels very floaty, and I hate floaty feeling shooters. Um, I think it's because I've been spoiled by things like Tarkov, though, which feels so good to me. But yeah, like I would really love a modernistic, massive online FPS that's good. So either Dust 515 or PlanetSide 3. Guys, come on, give me Yahtzee. I don't really care. I have one last thing to talk about to kind of wrap up the show. But was there anything else you wanted to mention this week?
No, I think we covered it. The two main things I wanted to talk about were the whole Square Enix thing and Bethesda. So,
Oh, well, I guess have you been watching Moon Knight?
oh yes, I've finished Moon Knight.
Okay, I haven't finished yet. I have one more episode left to go, and we're probably gonna watch it tonight sometime. Um, Super interesting. I've been liking it so far.
Yeah,
Um,
I was surprised by how much I've been liking it, honestly, because
and
I
I really
I've
want to. Oh, go ahead.
as you know, I'm a comic reader. I have been since I was a kid,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna be 100% honest. I never read any Moon Knight comics. I know the character from when he crossed over with the Avengers because he's been an Avengers member, but not like a main cast member. Like he joins for
Right.
a short time and then he's gone and stuff like that. And I've heard stories, but I've never read any of his comics. So I was, and this is Marvel, like everybody says they can't miss. They can. There's been some misses and everything like that, and this is their
Oh
first
yeah, there
foray.
has.
This was one of their first forays on the TV side into something that doesn't have anything connecting it to the previous movies and anything like that or any draw of that. So I was curious of how this was going to turn out, and I'm pleasantly surprised at how
You
good
know
it's
what?
been.
So I want to go see Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I have not seen it yet. I'm super intrigued by all the reviews because people either hate it or they love it, and it's sitting at like a 75-80% Rotten Tomato review or whatever. But there's a lot of critics that fucking dog on it, and I found that critics usually have the worst fucking opinions in the world in the last decade. But a lot of people like it because they're like, yeah, it felt like a Marvel Sam Raimi film, uh Ashes of Dead, or what's the fucking bro? I'm gonna fucking
Evil Dead.
yeah, Evil Dead.
Ash is the character's
Um,
name.
yeah, Ash is
But
the
yeah, yeah,
character's name.
yeah. I have a friend who's seen it already. I haven't. I'm gonna maybe next week I'll be able to see it. I don't know. But he was talking about how it's very Sam Raimi as well, and he can see the like Evil Dead like influences, and he thinks it's like they push the boundary. Like they're as close to PG-13 as they could be. If they would have gone any more like Sam Raimi,
That's
body horror
good.
stuff, then it would no longer have been PG-13. Like they pushed it right
I'm
to the limit, is what he thinks.
I'm excited for that, and I can't wait to watch it. I think that will be dope. Um, So yeah, I'm excited to go see it.
I'm excited for that, but actually, the thing that has me more excited than anything else at the moment, which is kind of surprising because when they announced it, I was like not that excited because I had read the comic run and I wasn't sure how they were going to adapt it properly. But the more they've talked about it, and then now that I've seen the previews and stuff, the thing I'm most excited about right now is actually Thor: Love and Thunder.
Okay,
It looks so good.
I thought you were gonna say Miss Marvel for a second.
No, that one pissed me off, and I
I
know
think
people are gonna
Miss Marvel looks like dog shit,
yeah, people
dude.
people got mad at me when I said that, and they're like, It's just because it's Pakistani hero." No, like, no, I love that. I think one of the best things about the Marvel's Avengers game is her story in that game and how well they told it, and her
I
story in the comics and how well they tell that. But the changes they've made, literally, like, they cannot tell that story. And I get, like, okay, tell a different story, yes, but that story is central to her character and her growth, like that is her in the comics. So I don't feel like this is going to be Miss Marvel. And I get it's
so
MCU, they do stuff different, but it just kind of like
I hate the fact that people talk about how like, oh, Miss Marvel's so diverse and everything like that. Look at how diverse Moon Knight is, you assholes. It's literally 85% of it is based in fucking Egypt.
yeah,
Like,
they've been doing better and better with that. I don't think that's been a problem, and in the comics it hasn't been a problem for a long time. It's just an easy way to dismiss criticism. Not to say that those people don't exist. There are people that just hate it because it's, a Muslim
yeah,
superhero
sure,
and they're blah blah blah.
sure.
But me disliking what they're doing should not be lumped in with that, because I actually love the character. I own her comics. Do you want me to go get you some to show you some of the comics that I own? I was skeptical because this was one of Marvel's, in the time that it released, they were trying out new characters and they were all bombing, but Miss Marvel didn't bomb. It was good. The comics were actually good. They told a good story and they built up a good new character, and that's why she has survived and become very popular. And it's not the fact that she's Muslim or Pakistani or any of this. It's literally the changes that they're making that I think is robbing her of an amazing story. And
Yeah,
yeah,
this is the thing is like it doesn't matter. Like you can be okay. My favorite example is Ocean's 8. Man, I wanted Ocean's 8 to be good, so good. I was so excited for it to tell the different side of his sister and to get back into an Ocean's film. But it was a shitty movie. And it had an all-star cast of women. I thought this is going to be great. They've got some great actors. It was a shitty movie. It had such piss poor fucking writing, and I hated it with every ounce of my body because they're like, we got to get all women and we can't make the script too complicated because the women won't understand it, but the women are the ones that are gonna. It's like, no, what do you? Fuck you. Just make a good Oceans. It doesn't matter whether it's about guys or girls or whoever. You can make it whoever you want it to be about. Just make it good. And they're like, we can't do that. Audiences won't latch on to it. And it's fucking. So I guess women are stupid according to who the fuck ever makes the Oceans movies.
yeah, that was the
So
same problem I had with the reboot they tried with Ghostbusters, because like
yes,
they tried so
yes,
hard to, like, we're not this and we're going to, like, they tried to like
yeah,
go
yeah, they
against
really
it
did.
so much. And like in the movie, like, if you take that stuff out, you take all that stuff out and just the base parts, that's a decent movie. You ruined it by
Yeah,
trying to do all this shit. If you wouldn't have done
yep,
that and just made a good Ghostbusters movie, no one cared that it was women.
100% agree. 100% agree. I listen. I think they should stop. Hollywood needs to stop trying. We have to have a focus on women. How about you just make a superhero and you make their identity fit their story? And if their story makes their identity fit of being Pakistani or a woman or a transgender or gay or straight or whatever, it doesn't matter. How about you make their identity fit the fucking character so the story makes sense and it's good and it does the telling of those cultures justice instead of warping it to be appealing to audiences? Because guess what? It doesn't work.
Yeah, more often than not, it doesn't. I'm gonna see. I'll watch it because I have Disney Plus. I'll see what it's like. But
Yeah.
I'm not, again. I'm not sure how I feel about it because I feel like they've robbed her of what could have been, an
I
amazing
agree.
story. But yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I liked the comic run, but the comic run it had very specific things leading up to it. I liked
And
most of the comic run. Most of there were a few parts
yeah.
there were very specific things leading up to it that just didn't exist in the MCU, and I was like, how are they going to do this? And the way they first started talking about it, but what I've seen since has me excited, and I like that with through this and Moon Knight, they're bringing in the Marvel gods. Like, there it isn't just Norse mythology. There are others, and I
Right.
am extremely, extremely hopeful that they've been hiding, because they've been hiding so much from us recently. Like, there's not been a lot of leaks about Doctor Strange and this, so uh, I'm extremely hopeful that they're hiding the fact that we saw in the trailer that Zeus exists. You know who else exists?
Yes.
His son.
Uh oh yeah.
His son. Okay, everybody's gonna laugh because I say Hercules. Don't laugh. Hercules in the comics is a staple Avenger. He has been on the Avenger for years. He is actually one
Yeah.
of the most popular Avengers in the comics. He has had his own runs, which are best selling and great. And Marvel's version of Hercules is the best version of Hercules since the ancient myths themselves. I kid you not. They have an
Well, what about the
amazing version of
what?
Hercules.
There was the Disney version of that was
Marvel's
prior.
version of Hercules is fucking amazing.
But
I'm
I
telling you,
really
go
like the
read some of the
Disney
comics.
version. I
That's nothing,
really
nothing compared to
listen.
Marvel's version. And he has like this friendly rival. Like there was that friendly rivalry built up between like Hulk and Thor and some of the movies that never really went anywhere after Ragnarok
Sure.
and stuff. That's actually Hercules and Thor in the comics. That is their
Well,
rivalry, and they're constantly helping each other and fighting each other, and they have that right. And I really hope that because there was a rumor, again, this could be 100% wrong, but there was a rumor that Henry Cavill has a small part in Marvel that could grow bigger. So maybe like there's a post credit scene or whatever, and it's Henry Cavill as Hercules, and I would like shit my pants. Yes, please.
so the one thing I wanted to talk about to close out today's episode. We talked about it last week, and I wanted to expand on a few things. I don't want to spend too much time on the show, but I do want to talk about the game. For those of you that have been wondering, this is how the Halo show has been going. um,
Yeah, let's not
it's
talk about the show.
bad. It's bad. It's so bad, dude. What the fuck is this? What in the actual fuck? This guy's supposed to be like some Oni spook. And like, first off, are you wearing a canvas bag? What the fuck? And then like you have Gucci on underneath with these tiny. What the fuck is going? All right, that's enough of that. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Holy Christ, that makes me hate myself. Season 2 for Halo launched, and we were just talking about it last week and how disappointing not only the show but the game has been. And they managed to disappoint even more than previously thought possible. So what they did with season 2, one of the things that they did with season 2 was they took several map-based skill jumps out of multiplayer. So these have been a thing in Halo since like Halo 2 multiplayer. Like there's been like pixel perfect jumps where if you run, jump, crouch at the exact perfect second, you can hit and clip a ledge just right that you can stand on it. And then in Halo 4, the introduction of sprinting, there were jumps that took me days, if not weeks, to get down, where you're literally running at an edge at a particular line, sprinting, jumping, like you're hitting it in such a pixel perfect way. And then they introduced mantling in 5, and so people were creating all these things that you couldn't do without mantling because it would hit certain ledges in a way that would engage your ability to mantle onto them. And so you could get into some cool spots and some really tricky, useful spots in Halo multiplayer. Well, all that's gone. They took a bunch of them out of the game with the season 2 update. Why? I don't actually know. Like there wasn't anything wildly unbalanced about them. They were just utilized as ways to move around the map. That previously, were not. It like I just don't know why they removed all of these things, and that is not even like some of the worst bit of what they have done. They also disabled a whole bunch of speed running stuff in the
Yeah,
game.
yeah, stuff from like the campaign. I'm like, I could maybe
Yeah.
understand removing it from the competitive play, but you also removed it from the campaign, and I can't really. But then even if I could, you also removed it from the campaign. What? 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 Why? Let
Yeah,
me
so
have fun.
they
Fun
made it
detected. Must
significantly
delete.
harder to do speed runs. So like, and I'm pulling up some images here on the side that I can show just like all the shit that they've done. And the outcry is pretty substantial about how much they're literally ruining Halo at the moment. And I like completely agree, to be honest with you. Um
Joe Staten did come out and with a tweet was like, "Yeah, we missed the mark on this. We're going to be reevaluating it, so maybe they'll roll it back and everything." But like even
it's
even beyond that,
already
it's been we talked about like will season 1 even be active? Can we go back cuz they just never told us. It is. I can go back and select season 1 and level it up. I have to like select it and choose to level it up, but also like I there's certain things that are locked on the free version that didn't used to be locked now. I don't know
yes.
why they're locked now if they weren't locked before.
Yup.
And there's like the challenges to level it up. You have to buy the season 2 one to get all of the challenges for season 1 because they did not separate it.
Yep.
So that's kind
Yeah.
of weird. And then the challenges themselves are broken. Just so you know, if you go into the new matches, everybody online is going to tell you, no, you just have to wait for the match to end. Okay, the new what's it called, last Spartan standing thing. They said that it's safe. Like once you're eliminated, it's safe to leave the match. Yeah, about 50% of the time. The other
Yeah,
50% of
it's
the
not.
time, your challenge will not update. I don't care if you have to wait for the game to end. I waited a day. My challenge didn't update. Okay, that game wasn't still going on for a day. You can't tell me that. So it's literally like
Yeah.
there's a bug where if you don't literally stay and watch two idiots crouch in a corner until they get forced together to the end, your challenges may not actually count and update. They may
Yep.
or may not. Like it's a 50-50 shot. And it's like, awesome. This is what I wanted to do with my free time today is watch these two crouch in a corner because I wasn't one of the last ones. Oh, cool, cool.
Yep. I've not been playing Halo because like I'm the biggest Halo fanboy you may ever find. It was literally part of my childhood and why I enjoy first person shooters so much. Um and it just it's ass now. It's Halo Infinite's ass. I thought Infinite was a pretty big letdown, and I didn't play it because of how big of a letdown it was for me. They didn't really support the esports scene. There was a lot of decisions they made that I didn't like. Halo Infinite is significantly worse, like so much worse. Um, it's unbelievable how much worse it is. Here's
I
some
think
of
the
the things
campaign
that
was good. I think the campaign was good. Not great, not amazing. It was
I will
decent,
disagree
good.
with that entirely
Baseline.
because with the writing that they did to Cortana, they essentially just gave themselves an excuse to write her out. And they didn't show they made such narrative bullshit mistakes with 5 and they're like, "How do we fix this? Oh, we can't." Well,
Yeah,
let's
I
just
guess
write it
I
out.
guess I do have problems with the story. I'm gonna say the gameplay and like missions and the structure, the way they built them, that I enjoyed.
Oh,
It
sure,
wasn't
yeah.
great, it was good. But the multiplayer, like literally season 2 launched, I played it, got super freaking frustrated, put it down, came back the next day to try again, and got frustrated again, and I haven't played since. I put it down and I played
Yeah.
it those two times because it was just like uh,
So here's something that
even what you got right is buggy as all get out, so it's not right.
Yes. Yeah,
So
they've
I'm
got
just
so
like,
many netcode issues and all kinds of stuff. This is one of the things that a lot of people are complaining about and what you partially highlighted. So yeah, if the season 1 Heroes of Reach battle pass is still available. However, any content that was free on it is now locked. So you can't get it unless you actually buy it. You can't get the free content unless you buy it. And you used to have 4 challenge slots last season, whether you bought the battle pass or not. Now you only have 3 challenge slots unless you buy the season 2 battle pass. So they're purposely slowing your progression down to incentivize you to buy the battle pass. And currently, still, this was heavily complained about back in November about how terrible this was. Challenges are the only way to progress the battle pass. There's
yeah,
no
and
other way.
them making the daily play a match for a trifle of XP didn't really address it. Like,
Yeah, no, because
it made this thing that's 900 crappy. Okay, now it's 800 crappy. You took a little bit off. You didn't fix it.
Yeah, because see, here's the thing. If you wanted to level, like, there's 90, well, there's actually, so normally a season in most games lasts 3 months, 90 days. If you have to do 5 missions a day to level up your battle pass once. So if you do those 5 missions include playing a match, it's going to take you 100 days to level your battle pass all the way up. That's if you can complete those challenges, which most of the time you can't because they don't have playlists, so you're not guaranteed to get the game type that you need. Not only do they not have playlists, they're currently extremely buggy, and they're not going to compensate you and give anybody free levels on that. They're going to ask you to play more. The 200 per day, if you did just that, played a game every day, you would get 1 level of the battle pass in 5 days. And so this is a really great example. So Army of One, earn cumulative player score in Team Slayer matches. So 2,000 points is about 20 kills, give or take. So you'd have to play at least, if you're a good player, you can get 20 kills in a match. If you're below average, maybe 2 matches. But that's just 1 game. So you might have to play 2 matches there. Then there's hunt enemy Spartans from behind with a melee attack in Last Spartan Standing. So they're asking you to get assassinations in Last Spartan Standing.
And then think about this. Think about you get your assassinations, which is freaking hard in that game type, right? And then you leave the game early because you get eliminated, right? And they say you're allowed to leave early. And then it doesn't stick. And that challenge didn't complete.
So how many games of Last Spartan Standing do you have to play before that sticks? Who fucking knows, because it's a random flip of the coin, alright? So let's just say 5 to make it fair. So we're up to 7 games in a single day just to level up your battle pass once from completing these challenges. Then, kill enemy Spartans in Fiesta PvP matches. Well, first off, like, so Team Slayer and Fiesta, like, I have to get those in the play. So we're already up to 10 matches just to get 1. Well, and actually, no, that won't even fully level my battle pass. That's still not a level for those 4 challenges because I haven't bought the season 2 premium battle pass, so I don't have a 4th fucking challenge.
Yeah, it's the fact that someone new could come to this game. Let's say the gameplay was awesome, no netcode issues or whatever. They come to the game and they're like, "All right, I want to play it for free for a while and see what I can, what I can do." The fact that they have to play for literally days of challenges to get their first level in the battle pass to get something for free. What the fuck? I should be able to unlock the first level in a single game. Like, hey, here's something cool. So,
Right, yeah.
And then it gets progressively, longer and longer to like get you to buy in.
I've always been of the fact that it should take 2 matches on average to gain 1 level of a multiplayer. In any kind of battle pass, Call of Duty, Apex, whatever, 2 matches for 1 level. If you have an average game. If you have a really good game, You can earn one whole full level, because I think it should be performance based. If you have a really good game, you can earn a whole full level. If you have a fucking crazy game, you could earn 2 or 3 levels from a single game, because it should be performance based. We went and played at the beginning of season 1. Me and Tex and Canadian and Dougie went and played ranked. And man, I was hard slaying and carrying on some of the... We played a game of oddball that I came out with 34 kills and like 3 minutes on the oddball. That's really hard to do. Okay, it just is. Especially when you're playing against like diamonds and platinums, and it's hard to do. And Canadian, who was having netcode issues and lagging out, actually got his season pass leveled up before I do, like 3 matches before I did. So to say that I was mad, I wasn't even really mad. I just wasn't having fun. I wasn't fun. I didn't feel like I was being amply rewarded.
It's because everything is tied to the challenges, and
Yeah.
Challenges should be a like a backup, not the main thing. Like, I'm not as good as player as you, period, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just never going to be. Like, I accept the fact that at FPS games I'm not as good as guns. I'm not going up against diamond and shit like that. That's just how it is, right? So for a player like me, I'm never going to do as good as you, right? So I'm going to level up slower, but you can give me these challenges to give me a little bit of a boost so I can maybe not level at the speed that you are, but not way slower than you. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it should be performance based and challenges on top, so that I have a chance to like close that gap some. But if you
Agree.
make it just challenges, performance does not matter. The only thing that matters is the challenges, and it literally is just like you get into the mentality of, I log in, and instead of logging in and playing what I want to play for fun, I want to play these 2 challenges so that I can level up, and they just anger me, and then I turn the game off.
Yep. And so this is some of the other stuff we were talking about. They removed some skill-based jumps. So this was one of them. You could jump on top of this little iron plate here and then jump up over the wall. Normally you wouldn't be able to get up and over this wall. So they changed it. They turned it sideways and you can no longer get up and over the wall. They just removed that. It's no longer there. There's a ton of stuff like that they ended up removing so that you can no longer get through it. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that they keep doing, and it's further ruining the game. Oh, this was some weird fucking... How many... Brian, pop quiz. How many hits does it take to kill a Spartan with a melee weapon?
I don't know now because they like nerfed all of it, and it feels like
You're right, but the previous answer was 2. If you... A beatdown was 2 bop bop, it was slower than just killing somebody with the gun, or it was slower than melee shooting. It was slower than grenade. Like, double meleeing was slower than a lot of things. But they've reduced it in both campaign and multiplayer so that it is no longer a 2-shot beatdown for most guns, except for the battle rifle and the battle rifle only.
yeah, because
What?
can't touch that.
This has been... I don't understand this.
Meta in the esports, man, can't touch that.
I don't understand this. This has been a thing in Halo since Halo was Halo. This has been a thing in Halo since 2004. We have literally had... I'm malding right now. I'm malding so bad. We have literally had 18 years of this being a thing. What are you doing?
I don't understand the reason for the, like... Okay, putting aside the battle rifle part, still in there, right? Just putting aside that, because that makes no sense. Why is it all nerfed except for that? What was the reason for the nerf in the first place?
I don't know.
Who was asking for it? Like,
Nobody.
What does it add to the game?
Nothing. In fact, I think it detracts from the game.
Like, I don't get the decision making process behind doing it at all. Like nothing's just. We were talking about hopes earlier. Remember, we had our hopes up for this game.
Yeah. Here's just a small tiny. There's a lot more than this, but this is just a small tiny thing that Halo Infinite did. So they removed shock rifles from big team battles, because they had concerns about its imbalance against vehicles. They removed fusion coils from launching. Oh, you know how you could shoot a fusion coil and it would just fly across the map and hit somebody and kill. And it was funny. It was cool. It created randomness, elements of explosions and things like that. Yeah, that's gone. The slide jumping, there was a jump sliding mechanic you could do where you could jump slide, gain some extra distance. That was nerfed and removed. It was used in competitive for a lot of heavily movement-based stuff. I thought it was super important and fun. They removed it.
They removed the coolest thing I have ever done in Halo Infinite and the most fun I've ever had playing it.
What was that?
The fusion core things, because we all picked one up and threw it at the launch pad and took out like 2 vehicles somehow. We launched like I don't know how many at the same time. It was like a bunch of them. We just threw them like as fast as we could and bombed. Like we ended up killing like a tank and like a mongoose or something. It was insane. Like we killed so many. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done in Halo Infinite and the most fun I've had. And now you're telling me I can't do. What? Why?
They removed the tank gun, which not only was difficult to get, but it was used for speed running. They removed it entirely. This was something you had to go out of your way to get. Beforehand.
They removed they removed the ability to. I heard this too. Like, you can't fly the Pelican. Apparently, there was a way you could get yourself up there and jump in the Pelican and fly it, and it was just really cool. Like, it didn't really give you any advantage or do anything. It was just
it was just cool.
And now you just can't do it. Like, why? It broke literally nothing. It gave you no advantages. It did nothing but look cool.
That is the perfect example of Season 2. It was like, look at this fun I'm having. You can't have fun. Give me that back. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's literally the fun detected meme that people used to like say about like Blizzard and WoW and stuff. 100%. Fun detected, removed.
100% fun detected. But Brian, at least we will always have this.
No, now I have to wait for the stream to catch up so I can see what you're showing me.
Sit on it.
Just wait. YouTube streams like a few seconds behind you now.
Yep, waiting. Wow, is my latency really that bad?
No, now I'm just sighing. I can see it now. Why'd you have to remind me this? Like,
it's but it's Halo.
This was without a doubt the worst episode.
It's the Halo we want. It's good. Stop being so critical of it.
This was without a doubt the worst episode. Like, no, remember, I'm the one that's trying to give it a chance. Remember what I said last week and stuff? And this was without a doubt the worst episode. And it saddens me because one of the things I liked about the series so far was Soren and his potential, and they saddled him with this annoying, boring ass character that I'm not interested in at all. Like, just stop. I don't care about this girl and her nonsensical story. Like, the story is literally nonsensical, which is why I don't care about it.
Yep.
Yeah, and that villain is
I hate it too.
What is that?
It's awful. It's the worst. All right. Well, I think we should probably get out of here before we our heads just kind of implode from how stupid 343 is.
We're going to end the thing on positive notes of how great Starfield looked like, how great Starfield looks like it's going to be, and the fact that, you know, we've got some IPs that are out of Square Enix and could be getting a revival now, and that excites me.
I would love to see a Thief reboot. I'd love to see a great Deus Ex. I'd love to see a brand new Legacy of Kain. I'd love everything. Like, just give it all to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Legacy of Kain, man. So much. Do like a remaster or remake of that series. Oh, it'll sell like hot.
You know what's also really weird? I've really been enjoying Destiny 2 lately, so I guess it's good Bungie got out of the fucking that kitchen.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Destiny 2 lately with the friends that still play it and everything. Like they've been doing good. I heard there was there were some misses with the launch with like the crafting and stuff, but I heard they've been doing a lot of good stuff lately. So
Yeah. I could complain about crafting a little bit, but I don't feel like it. I guess we're
Yeah, I
gonna go
mean
ahead and get out of here
it doesn't
though.
really matter that much. So yeah.
Yeah, it's small. It's
You need to
you
go
find
watch Moon Knight so that we can discuss it in
yes.
full.
We can discuss that next week, and then hopefully we can get around to watching Doctor Strange, and we can discuss that. I think that'll be really good. Well,
So
hey,
we've already got one of
thanks
the topics for
for
next week.
yeah, thanks for watching the live service podcast, guys. As always, this podcast has been brought to you in a live service fashion. We don't know what's going to happen next, and neither do you. We'll see you guys next week. You can follow Brian at Twitter at 7bitbrian, or me at Twitter at the number 3GUNZDOWNS. 3 guns down, no S at the end. Or you can just follow me on Twitch or YouTube or wherever you watch these streaming platforms at Guns Games. We'll see you guys later. Have a good week, everybody. Hope you enjoy is it the beginning of summer yet? It is soon.
Yeah,
Right?
it's hot
I guess
enough to be.
yeah. Say goodbye, Brian.
Goodbye, Brian.
God fucking damn it.